Now, the deployment of more midwives to the big cities instead of rural areas might be contributory to the challenge of maternal and child deaths in Nigeria. Well, that's according to my guest this week. Joining me now is Dr. Rabi Sagir of the United Nations Populations Fund, who explains more about this problem. Dr. Rabi Sagir, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Well, we're going to talk about midwifery, but right now the nation focuses so much on maternal and child health in Nigeria. For so long, we've talked about how to protect women and children from dying during childbirth. Right now, what is your assessment of maternal and child health in Nigeria?
Maternal and child health in Nigeria is such that is worrisome to everyone in the world. Nigeria is in a position today that is often said that Nigeria can change the world with regards to our indicators. Every day in Nigeria, 111 women die from complications of pregnancy and childbirth. And Nigeria ranks second to India in contributing to the number of women that die from complications of pregnancy. So it's really worrisome, and a lot of stakeholders are rallying around to see that this change. You're aware that we are moving now, or we have rather moved from MDGs to SDGs, from Millennium Development Goals to Sustainable Development Goals. And in the Sustainable Development Goals, the third SDG is focusing on health, and that goal has highlighted the need for access to reproductive health and rights. So this takes us to the issue of maternal and newborn child health.
I wonder again, what the challenge really is about having more skilled midwives. Some would say that the passion is dwindling. I don't know about your perspective. That's what I'm trying to seek right now.
It's also a combination of so many factors, even though it is not acceptable for any health worker to behave in a manner that it's not respecting the patient. It is not acceptable, whatever circumstances, you find yourself in. But so many factors contribute to this, because you have issue of salaries, you have issue of workload. In terms of availability of midwives, generally, just like other cadres of the Nigerian health workforce, we have enough midwives in this country. We have enough doctors in this country. Our problem is how they have been distributed. 50% of all obstetricians in Nigeria live in Lagos State alone, while the remaining 50% are spread across the remaining 35 states and the Federal Capital Territory. If you look at the data around availability of doctors, we have over 5,000 doctors in the Federal Capital Territory, while some states in Nigeria have less than 1,000. So our problem is the distribution. Most healthcare workers are situated in the capital cities as opposed to the rural areas where the needs are, for reasons that are not far-fetched. We have issues around salaries. The package of benefits is greener when you compare those employed by the federal governments and then followed by the states and then the local government. So it is not so lucrative to work in rural areas, but also it's not around salaries. We have to have in place retention strategies. You have to encourage people to stay and want to work in hard-to-reach areas, in rural areas. If you take a look at how we have fared compared to other countries, Nigeria has met 97% of the needs for health workforce. So our challenge is the distribution.
So now that you've hit the nail on the head, the distribution is the major challenge. The federal government is aware about this. The state governments are aware and all of that. And you're just imagining So if we've been having several deaths owing to inadequate midwives in these critical areas, so where is that disconnect? Why won't the government quickly address this?
So many strategies are in place. The government has launched the one functional primary health care per ward. And this initiative is laudable. In fact, it's the best thing that can happen to Nigeria with regards to the health sector. The aim of the one functional PHC is to take healthcare to the grassroots, to take healthcare to the doorstep of the poor and vulnerable Nigerian. And one of the components of this initiative is that at least 2 midwives will man the PHCs in addition to other staff complement that will come. You see, midwifery is key. Midwifery is at the center of achieving health care in this country. There can be no health care without a trained workforce. And evidence has shown from the State of the World Midwifery Report that midwives that are educated in line with standards, and if they are well equipped, can provide 87% of the care needed to save women and young children. So midwives can provide 87% of the care that is needed. So the midwives are critical in when we talk about the health workforce. But in human resource for health, there are 3 cardinal principles that every country must factor in. And the 3 cardinal principles are production, deployment, and retention. Production takes you to the issue of our midwifery schools. In Nigeria today, we have 99 institutions offering midwifery training. And together, they churn out about 3,000 midwives every year. Evidence has shown that with our high fertility rates, we would need 3,500 additional midwives to be able to meet the needs of women from now until 2030. So we're producing 3,000, we are asked to produce 3,500 additional to be able to meet the needs. So which means we need to double our production. But what is happening? What is happening now is that we have 99 institutions offering midwifery training, which together produce this 3,000. But as we speak now, about 10% of them have lost their accreditation because of shortage of midwife tutors. And you know, the number of midwife tutors has a bearing on midwife enrollment for those schools. Because I think the ratio is 1 to 10. For every midwife tutor, you're only allowed to admit 10 students. So if you have only 2 tutors, no matter how fantastic and the state of the world equipment that you have in the school, you're not allowed to exceed 20. So the question is that the issue is that we are asked to produce additional 3,500 to meet our needs, yet the 3,000 that we are managing to produce is even declining because we have not been able to address the issue around shortage of midwife tutors. Most of the midwife tutors we have are retiring, and there is no succession plan currently in place. And I'll tell you another thing. You see, the midwife tutor cadre is not very attractive. If 2 midwives complete their training, if one goes into bedside practice as a midwife who works in a hospital, and the other takes the education path to be a midwife tutor, the one who has gone to do the work in the hospital will earn far higher than the one who has gone to teach, because there are some allowances here and there that the one who has gone to teach does not get. So some of these issues are policy issues that we could sit down and address as a country or at the state level. So if we are not producing enough midwife tutors, and then the ones we have in the system are retiring, then we are mopping the floor while the roof is still leaking, because, you know, there is no succession plan for production of midwives. So we've talked about the first cardinal principle for human resource for health development, which is production. So for production, you want to improve the quality of the midwives you're churning out. You want to also improve on the quantity to be able to meet the needs. Then the second cardinal principle is deployment. Apart from training, production, you need to deploy, and to deploy in a way that is in line with needs, not just deploying to state capitals while the rural areas lack midwives. So you want to deploy and have deployment strategies that will respond to changes in the system, do a workload analysis, and deploy midwives in line with needs, and regularly deploy. So the third principle is retention. If you deploy me to a rural area, I'm a woman, I have children, I need to be able to work while protecting my family values. So again, because midwives are women, there are gender dimensions that must be factored in their employment. They are women, they are married, they have children, they want to live where their husbands are. This is Africa. Women need to be able to work while protecting their family values. So this is why sometimes they don't stay, because if you've posted them to where it's so far away, you know, if they're in the rural areas, they have children, they also think of the schools their children will attend, you know. So there must be retention strategies. There must be deployment strategies.
So these are salient challenges that you have raked up, and we have to look into it and how the UNFPA is actually helping the government to achieve this. But we're going to take a break. We're still with Dr. Rabi Sagir, the Program Officer, United Nations Population Fund. Please join us again after now.
We have so many midwives out there that can be employed by the government, but they are not employing them. I mentioned the issue of employing retired midwives on contract basis that are renewable. You know, they are just throwing this knowledge of people into the labor market.